Endless Hustle is presented by Eat Clean Bro, a convenient solution to bring you the highest quality chef-prepared meals delivered right to your door. Eat Clean Bro is the contract-free solution for your meal prep needs. Made with all-natural ingredients and next-day delivery, every meal feels like you have someone cooking for you right at home. All right, we've got a hilarious day on the Endless Hustle as I'm joined by one of the funniest guys in show business, but he can't get his shit together and actually log in under his own account. So what am I going to do with you, Bert Kreischer? Come on, you're better than that.
Dude, I'm a mess. I just got a new phone. I have both phones because I can't get rid of the old one. I'm afraid I'll miss a call from someone important. And it's not. It's just my phone number got doxxed. And so now I have thousands of texts from people going, is this really Bert? Is this really Bert? And FaceTime. So I'm an aggressive FaceTimer. Like I like to FaceTime people instead of just call them, which apparently is not cool. Because I FaceTime Snoop the other day and he just was like, send a voicemail. But and so I get FaceTimes all the time from fans just going like, oh shit, it's you. And then you get the crazy ones. And a FaceTime always turns good because they're always with their boys or they just had a baby or they're at dinner with their friends. So yeah, so I'm bad with technology.
By the way, the best part of that story is you just humble bragging that you can FaceTime Snoop at any time. I fucking love that.
Dude, the last time I talked to Snoop, we were doing Two Bears, One Cave, me and Segura. And I called him because we were going fishing with Warren Sapp. And I was like, see if Snoop wants to go. And he answers the phone and it's black. You don't see anything. And he's like, I go, Snoop, Calvin? And he goes, who's this? And I went, Bert. And he goes, you're a bad motherfucker, Bert Kreischer. I was like, done. I'm never calling that guy again. That's a good one to end on.
The only thing better would have been if you could have somehow recorded that, screen grabbed it, and that literally would have been your voicemail. Send the voicemail. You're a bad motherfucker, Bert Kreischer.
Bad motherfucker, Bert Kreischer.
Beep, leave a message.
You're a bad motherfucker, Bert Kreischer.
So by the way, we already plugged one of the things we got to plug. You got that podcast with Segura. So I love that we got that plug out of the way because it's fucking hilarious. You're also going back out on tour. You're starting with Red Rocks. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Red Rocks, September 8th. It's funny. I'm such a promo guy that I have them stuck in I have dates burned in my head that are important to me where I go Tallahassee, October 24th, like certain things so that if anything happens, like I was talking to Rosario Dawson the other day and she was telling me something about Star Wars, the Mandalorian thing she's doing. And I just in the middle, I just cut her off and I go, Red Rock, September 8th. I'll see you guys there. I was going into surgery. I went into surgery and I told my anesthesiologist, I go, just so you know, I'm doing a promo for Red Rocks as I go into surgery. And he was like, I go, Jimmy Buffett's playing the night before and the night after. And he goes, that's something I might fly out for. And I go, yeah, you want to keep me alive a little more now, don't you?
By the way, when did you become so Hollywood? We've gotten Snoop name drops. We've gotten Rosario Mandalorian name drops. Who's next on the Bert Kreischer name drop list?
Oh, hold on. Joe Rogan's calling me.
Dude, you're fucking awesome. So I got to tell you, I read that Rolling Stone interview and article years ago. I end up rereading it because I knew you were coming on the show. I'm like, let me reread this shit because for those who don't know, National Lampoon's Van Wilder is based off of Bert Kreischer and this famous Rolling Stone article that came out. I read this shit. I'm like, I forgot this shit. And then all of a sudden you're talking about being a stand-up comic in it. Here you are today. You got a TV show. You're playing Red Rocks. You got multiple successful podcasts. You got a show on like TBS. I mean, can you believe it? Think back to that kid in that article to now adult Bert Kreischer. Pretty crazy.
I'll tell you what's really crazy about all of this is we were just in Serbia for 3 months shooting a movie called The Machine. And I walked out, our first day of, I guess called principal photography or whatever, I look at the date and I remember I go, wow, this is the date. Oddly enough, it's the date that the Rolling Stone magazine came out. It is also the date when I went to Russia for the first time. I go, and it just happens to be the date that I started at FSU. Like all those things all started at the same time. And I go, holy shit, man, this is like a good week in my life. Like, and then I'm sitting there, driving out in a Sprinter van in Serbia to go start shooting a movie about my experience robbing a train in Russia. And I'm just going, this is fucking surreal, man. Like this doesn't, I can't believe this is the journey from that article to there. I go, it's almost like full circle. Like, I think I'm done. I think now's when you die in a plane crash, you're like, no, he led a good life. Like, no one at my funeral is going to be like, I don't know, he was taken from us so early. Everyone's going to be like, I can't believe he did it.
So let me drop your next name drop. The guy you're filming The Machine with is, just Luke fucking Skywalker, Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
So funny story about The Machine. I was dating a Russian girl earlier this year. I don't know how your name came up. We're at the Spaniard in the West Village in New York. She goes, Bert Kreischer is my favorite comedian. She goes, have you ever seen The Machine? And I was like, no, but I've had him in studio before, but I didn't know about this Machine thing. Hit YouTube that night. The next 13 minutes of my life, I'm in fucking tears watching The Machine because I'm Russian as well. And I'm like, oh my God. Fast forward like a week later, I'm reading Variety, Bert Kreischer, new movie, The Machine with Mark Hamill. I'm like, this shit is crazy. I mean, how crazy is it? So for those who don't know, Bert literally with Russian mobsters robbed a train for real. That's crazy.
It really is insane, especially when you think, it's funny because the reason the story went viral is because one of the girls in my class saw that Facebook post the day it went up. And just left a comment, just like a comment like anyone else would, just left a comment. And she was like, I was in Bert's Russian class. I was on this trip to Russia with Bert. This story is 100% true. He fucking robbed us. And it went viral. And by the way, I thought I was going to get canceled. I was like, uh-oh, everyone's going to find out I really robbed. Like, I thought everyone just thought it was a good story. Maybe I made it up. When they found out it was real, that's when it took off. And then we ended up doing the movie, and when Mark Hamill came into the conversation, and I was like, I definitely want to meet Mark Hamill. Like, fuck yeah. And so we did a Zoom because, we're still in quarantine, kind of. We do a Zoom with Mark Hamill, and the first thing he says is, why do you do stand-up with your shirt off? And I was like, oh, you're the perfect guy to play my dad. I was like, this is my dad. And it was a dream come true. I mean, there's times where you don't even realize, like, you're acting with Luke Skywalker. Like, and I forget, because Star Wars is such a different, it's such a world. It's such a different thing. But I forget just what an amazing, talented actor he is. Like, I think a lot of people kind of sleep on the fact that he is a fucking amazing actor, and we have scenes where we had a scene in this moment where he's giving me this monologue, and he grabs out of my face, and I started crying, and it's just so moving, and I go, we get done, and they're like, that was great, and I go, did you get my tears? And they go, no, the camera's not on you. And I was like, well, when the camera's on me, can you tell him to do that thing he did again? And Mark goes, you mean act? And I went, yeah, can you do that acting thing again? Because you're really good at it. And he was like, yeah, I know. And then he does it again. The camera's not even on him. Gives it to me, grabs my face, and I start bawling, crying. And I'm like, I love you, Dad. I was like, ah! It was the greatest. He's the best, man. I love Mark.
There's so much I want to unpack. First of all, how does the movie come about? So obviously The Machine, the whole skit, the story goes viral. But how does it actually go from that to, hey, let's make a movie with Luke Skywalker?
So it's kind of interesting. We pitched The Machine, The Machine goes viral. We went and took it a bunch of places. And then we start, then you do the Netflix special, you start selling tickets, and then you pitch it a couple places, and everywhere was kind of like, I don't think they really got the concept of the movie, or I wasn't pitching it right. The pitch I had just didn't work. And because I think everyone's note was, I've heard the story. What's the new part of it? And I had a bunch of stuff that I don't share in the story that really happened in Russia. They were like, I don't know. And so then I came up, we were still getting meetings, so I just came up with 3 other pitches, and I stopped pitching The Machine altogether, and we're pitching these 3 other movies that I still think are really good movies. And so we go to Legendary, this guy Kale, who I'd met before and partied with, and knew him vaguely, but like I partied with him once at Flappers, and he goes, he's like, okay, we pitched the 3 movies. He was like, I like them. I want to do a movie with you. What movie do you want to do? He goes, okay, let's say Hollywood says you get to make one movie. What's it going to be? And I said, well, it's going to be The Machine. And he goes, okay, all right. And he goes, I know the story. And he goes, what's the pitch? And by the way, I gave up pitching this idea. And I was like, I gotta be honest with you, man, I'm not even certain I want to do that movie because I'm afraid if the movie's good, that one night I'll get called to do a corporate gig and I'll show up and it'll be the Russian mafia and they'll kidnap me. And he just looks at me and he goes, sold. And I went, what? And he goes, that's our movie, sold. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, this movie is a little bit of The Hangover, a little bit of Godfather 2, and a little bit of Romancing the Stone. And we were like, oh no, not Midnight Run. And I go, okay. And then that's how we sold it. And then we get, the first outline, kind of beat it out. And it was me and my dad get kidnapped by the Russian mafia. And I've got to pay my debt I've got to fix the wrongs I did in my youth and correct them. And I loved it. I loved the arc of it. I loved all of it. And when scripts come in, people are like, I don't know, and all that. And I just, the second I got it, I was like, we're making this movie. And sure enough, we got a call and they're like, yo, we've been greenlit. Let's cast it. And we did a table read and it killed. And then we did another round of punch-ups with a bunch of writers and it got better. And then we got it to Mark Hamill and as soon as he signed on, we're like, oh shit, we're going to fucking Serbia. Like we're going to Serbia for 3 months. And it was one of the greatest experiences it was singularly the greatest experience of my entire entertainment career, without a doubt. I will never enjoy a process more. And I never thought I wanted to act ever. And I immediately signed on for like 2 more movies and now I'm trying to do a movie tentatively. Me and Segura are doing a movie. And so like, I'm like, I love it. I really, really loved it. And I never thought I'd love it.
By the way, was Hamill ready for you? I mean, you're a lot.
No. My wife told me, she goes, listen, you cast a large wake. So monitor your drinking because we took a private jet to Serbia. She's like, you don't want to freak this guy out and have him watch you drink the way you drink. It's like it might scare him. So I packed a bunch of little tiny whiskeys. So I wasn't ordering drinks from this flight attendant so I could make my own and no one knew what I was drinking. And then my wife was like, also, he doesn't need to be your best friend. I know you want to be best friends with Luke Skywalker, but he doesn't need to be your best friend. Give him space. He's a grown man. He may not want to like hang out every day. And because that's who I am. I want to hang out every day. I want to be with you every day. I want everyone to be a family. And I did that. And I think I know for a fact we became friends. I joke about it a lot and say, I doubt we'll ever talk again because that's just so Mark, like you're not like he'll call. It's funny. I told him, I said, hey Mark, do you think we're gonna like spend a lot and he just cut me off. He goes, nope. He's a homebody. He likes being with his family, likes being with his dogs, he likes what he likes, But we had a great time in Serbia. Me, him, his daughter, and his wife. And I spent a lot of time with his daughter and his wife. They came over to the house a lot, and they're just the best. They're ultimate.
Yeah, he's like, Bert, please don't call me. I speak to the likes of Harrison Ford and George Lucas, not Bert Kreischer.
He would look at me and just go, like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, there's so much of my personality that I don't realize. You don't realize how you're perceived by people until you meet new people. And you hear stuff like he's unpredictable, he's chaotic, he's loud, and you're like, wait, is that not charming to you? And they're like, well, it's a little off-putting at times.
How does Van Wilder happen? So obviously the Rolling Stone article, it's rereading it. First of all, you can't write that shit anymore. It's like, it's from a world past. Now it feels like 3 generations ago. But then how does the movie actually happen off of that article?
Well, I had nothing to do with the movie. So it's all, I didn't write it. I didn't produce it. I didn't do anything. What happened was, and this is all, secondhand from people that have all been involved with the movie. But what happened was, the day it came out, I had Oliver Stone optioned the rights to my life his company when I was in college. They optioned that article. And so they wanted to do a movie about a journalist animal, because the journalist wrote the article, and so they write the art, they get the option, we work on it for a year, and then I sign a deal with Will Smith to make a sitcom, and then agents get involved, and then this free option that I have with Oliver Stone kind of disappears. But they'd already commissioned people to write scripts, And so it kind of fizzles out. So all these dudes have their own scripts that they've written about a journalist and a party animal. This is all what I've been told, by the way. I'm no official, you're not getting any official news. And so, but I told it by National Lampoon. So one of the guys takes his script, takes it to National Lampoon, changes my name, keeps my friends' names in it, and sells it. And they're like, all right, great, let's do it. And so then that's how that movie happened. And then that movie comes out, and my agents and my managers at the time get on the phone, and they do a big conference call, and they're like, hey, your movie, the movie that you were developing, that script is sold and it's made and it's coming out next week, and we want to sue them. We want to sue National Lampoon. And at the time, I remember where I was. I was on Venice by the Starbucks over by the Coles, and over near Sony. And I remember saying like, yeah, I could use money. Like, let's sue. And my manager, Barry Katz, hops on the phone very wisely, and he goes, all right, let me ask you a question. There's two types of people in this business. He goes, people that work and people that sue. Which one do you want to be? And I was already working, so I was like, I want to be the working guy. And he goes, hey, you don't create enemies in this business. It's hard to get a movie made. You had nothing to do with it. Fucking let it go. And I went, you're right. I didn't feel that way at the time. I was like, well, whatever. And then I want to cut to like randomly. And this is like one of those times where, once again, full circle, I take a general meeting at an art house, like it literally is like a gallery, an art gallery. And these two guys are sitting at a table, and they're like, hey man, we want to make a sitcom with you. And I was like, cool. And they're like, they have my book on the table, and they're like, we're big fans. And I was like, awesome. And they're a really big company. And I'm like, that's great. And they're like, one of our partners couldn't be here today, but he, we've been fans of yours for a long time. And I was like, great. And they're like, we produced Van Wilder. And I was like, oh, shut up. And they're like, yeah, we want to know, like, we know that character. We know you. We want to do something with you. And so we started developing a sitcom, me and this company. And by the way, my memory is horrible, but I'm almost 100% certain it's Ryan Reynolds' company. So like Dark Horse or something, or something like, anyway, that we sit and developed, and it didn't go anywhere. But that advice I got given about two types of people, I would have shot myself in the foot with the biggest movie star in the world had I been the kind of guy that goes in and starts suing people at 26 years old. And now I look at it, and I look at that whole journey I've had, and I go, oh, it's so nice to know that Van Wilder trivia fact is a footnote in my life, as opposed to my tent pole. My tent pole's my career, my stand-up, my working on Travel Channel, my specials, The Cabin, now this movie, the Go Big show, all the stuff I've done, my podcasts, my cooking show, all that is my story. And then the Van Wilder stuff's kind of like a interesting sidebar that I mean, and trust me, getting work as a young fucking comic was hard as shit back then. You didn't have all the avenues we have now to have a podcast, create your own content, put it out there, find your own fan base. Like, I would have been known as that dude for my whole fucking life, and cool with it, by the way, and just never worked on my talent, never worked on stand-up, never done anything. I just would have been like, that's my story. And I've been like, go out and go to bars like the real world kids and party with people. But so thank God nothing happened to that.
Have you ever spoken to Reynolds? Has he ever come up and been like,
no, but like we have a million close friends that are similar. Like I'm shocked that I haven't, but I would, in all honesty, like I would never want to meet him as like, this is the guy that Van Wilder was based off of. Cause like, I'm not that guy. I'm really not that guy. Like that guy, whoever wrote that script, that's his script. I had nothing to do with it. And by the way, I actually think I'm a little more fucking interesting, to be dead honest with you.
Dude, when I read that article, I legit was like, why didn't they make this movie? This was the movie that I wanted to watch. This kid who's literally like, it was Belushi, it was Animal House. I'm like, that's the movie I wish I would have seen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I think about that sometimes, in developing that script with whoever we were developing with at the time. My stories, I don't think were like, I was like, what I did was not like, I don't think it was like movie friendly. Now that I've made a movie, I know that like all these stories that I've had in my head are like sometimes they're like, yeah, that doesn't translate to film the way you think it does, Bert. So, but yeah, I hopefully I'll meet Ryan Reynolds one day, and hopefully it won't come up, and hopefully he'll be like, dude, you're funny as shit, and then me and him 9 months later will be sitting at a beach in Mexico, having become best friends, and he'll pass me a joint. He's like, do you smoke pot in college? And I'll be like, oh yeah, you want to know an interesting story? And he'll be like, what's that? I go, you know that movie Van Wilder? And he's like, oh yeah, why? I go, never mind.
You're such a better man than I am. I would be like, so Ryan, how does it feel knowing you owe me your career?
By the way, the movie didn't even do well, for the record. The movie, it's a cult classic, but like it was, I don't think he would like looked fondly in that movie when it came out. But
yeah, he's like Deadpool now. He's like, get that off my IMDb. I'm Deadpool. I'm free guy. I don't meddle with that shit.
Fucking greatest. He is the greatest comedic action star out there. He is like everything. I fucking love that guy. I love that guy. I said I've never even seen the movie Van Wilder, so I have never even seen it. And I said, so, and that company, I think it's his company. It's like, I think that's the name of the company. I'm 100% certain, but I just hate saying things that I don't kind of remember. But
the aggregators come in and they're like, Bert Kreischer making shit up.
Yeah. And so they said to me, they were like, hey, have you ever seen the movie? And I said, no. And they're like, would you watch it? And I said, I'd watch it with Ryan Reynolds on my podcast. And they were like, we could make that happen. And I was like, I'll do that in a fucking heartbeat. I would love that. But yeah, I'd like Ryan Reynolds to meet me now, as opposed to think, oh, that's who the fuck you are.
Yeah, because you're actually like successful now. That's the crazy thing is you've hustled your way into like an A-list comedic career. I was actually, you're dropping all this year. Like, I mean, you and Burr, you have the Segura podcast. You have your tours sell out. You've had God knows how many specials. I'm looking at your shit today and I'm like, fucking Kreischer has actually built a hell of a career for himself. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, and that's the part that I'm proud of. Is like I feel like I busted my ass, and even stuff like my time at Travel Channel, I learned so much. It was like going to like getting like a doctorate degree in hosting, and being funny without trying to be funny, and being in the moment. And then now I'm doing Go Big Show. We're down in Macon shooting it, and I'm very comfortable on camera. And I got that from Travel Channel. Even my promos that I use to sell out my tours, that's all based off of Travel Channel, allowing me to learn how to shoot, edit, post. And so like, it all kind of builds into a career. And I think that's why I feel bummed for guys who like blow up at like 30 or 28. Cause I go, oh, you didn't learn how to do it. This sounds shitty, but like there's a lot of guys that learned how to do it themselves. They're like the way the internet is, there's a lot of guys. But when it comes to comics, who just, get a pop, get thrown on a sitcom, get put in a movie. I go, oh, you didn't, I feel like you didn't get to the feel. I was sitting with Adam Devine. This is a good example because he's a friend of mine. I was sitting with Adam Devine.
Another name drop, my man. I love it. I want to do, when we cut this, I want to do like a whole compilation of Bert Kreischer name drops.
Yeah, no, yeah, please. By the way, I'm the worst. But I was sitting with Adam Devine. We were in Tacoma, and he was playing a theater. He was doing like 3,000 seats. And I had sold out the weekend at a club. And he said, hey, man, congrats, you're blowing up. And I it's so funny. I still won't be able to verbalize it. But I was able to accept his congratulations because I knew how hard I had worked to sell out a club for a weekend. Like, I knew the work it had gone in for me to sell out tickets. And he was doing a theater, and I knew that it wasn't a backhanded compliment. Like even if it was just in passing, like congrats on selling out the club. And I know Adam, I don't think he was like, but I'm doing theaters, but the way he said it was like, congrats. And I actually took the compliment and I went, thank you. Like it's so many times people congratulate you or on stuff that you had nothing to do with. Like I was in some magazine and people were like, hey, congrats. And you're like, yeah, well, I don't know if I had anything to do with that. But when you work for something and you get it and someone congratulates you, you're able to go, hey, thanks. Like when people go, hey man, I love your podcast. I go, hey, thank you. Because I busted my ass on that fucking podcast. So that thank you it lands somewhere, and by the way, I've been doing this podcast for like 9 years. I put it up every week. I've done it the first 3 years I did by myself, editing and post. I mean, like it's, I can accept that thank you, that compliment.
Where does the shirt off thing begin? When do you start taking your shirt off and incorporate it as part of your act?
I started it started that I ripped my shirt off, kill a beer, and then put it back on. And then I would do that because it would cheer me up. It would make me laugh. Like just ripping it off would make me laugh. And then I did it in Columbus, Ohio once, and there was this dude I was working with that I really respected. And I took it off, and something happened in the room, and I just kind of focused on that thing. And then all of a sudden, it was like, 20 minutes had gone by, and my shirt was still off. And I was like, oh shit, my shirt's still off. And I went to put it back on, and this woman in the back just goes, keep it off. And I kept it off. I did the whole show shirtless, and I got done, and it was like a really, really good show. And this guy looked at me and was like, hey man, just so you know, I couldn't do one joke shirtless, let alone a whole show shirtless. And he was like, that was really crazy to watch. And I was like, oh. So I did the next show, I ripped it off, and I just thought, I kept it on the mic stand, and I thought, let's see how far I can go before I put it back on. Let's see. And I did the whole show again shirtless. And that from that moment on, and that was probably, it was before I started telling the machines, probably like 10 years ago, I guess. I've been doing it ever since. And then it got to the point where I was like, I did the Showtime special, and they're like, hey, you gonna want to wear a shirt? And I was like, yeah, I haven't done stand up with a shirt on in like fucking forever. And they're like, well, yeah, but I think you're giving people a reason to change a channel. And I was like, yeah, but what's worse, me being uncomfortable being like this the whole time, or just doing stand up the way I do it? So I did it with my shirt off, and they were right. No one watched that special. It was like the least watched special Showtime had ever put on. But the machine was in that special, and I posted the machine to Facebook, and I was shirtless. And just like those, it's just a random confluence of events, and the story goes viral. I'm shirtless, and it's just very identifiable. You're the guy that performs without a shirt. And it was like marketing, branding 101. And what's interesting is I stood by that special. I was like, this is a good fucking special. The machine is like, I think Secret Time's probably, in my opinion, Secret Time's my best special. Hey Big Boy's better, but I think Hey Big Boy's way more people have seen. I think Secret Time's my best, but I stand by the machine that's a really good special. And Netflix bought it, put it on, and it's always in the top 10 in Netflix.
Now you're doing obviously network TV, but a big part of your persona is just being Bert Kreischer and being off the cuff. How hard is it to contain that end of you? Because you've got to be family friendly for national TV.
It's not that hard. Oddly enough, I kind of just keep doing my own thing, and then let them edit around it. And I think things have changed too. Now that people are exposed to so much media and so much content, I think people are a little less shocked at like things people could say than they would have been maybe like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So it hasn't been that hard. My hardest thing is not on the show itself. It's like interviews like this where I don't think about what I'm saying, or doing Two Bears, One Cave, and all of a sudden this porn star wants to have sex with me and Tom, and I am in the moment, and I'm like, what if we get dildos? What if we have sex with her with strap-on dildos? And he's like, let's call our wives. And then we call our wives, and then you're like, oh shit, is my movie producers or my movie studio going to be comfortable with this concept? And if my wife says I can fuck her with a dildo on with Tom, I'm going to do that. And then how's that going to affect TBS? How's that like? So it's a lot of it's like, laying in bed going, Jesus Christ, what did I say? Or what did I offer up? I mean, I remember one time Tom and I went to a dominatrix for a live show, and we got our dicks tethered together with electric cords, and she shocked our dicks together to see who could take the most pain, this dominatrix. And I remember halfway through, I was like, wonder if TBS is going to be comfortable with this. And then you just like, well, I guess it's out there. I did it. If you lose a TV show, you lose a TV show.
I mean, have you ever gotten that call? Obviously not from TBS because they have you in Macon, Georgia filming, but have you gotten that call where like, Bert, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah. And by the way, it's never for the thing you think of. It's always like, For me, for me, it's Instagram. So like there'll be like a number of times I've gotten like hey, what the fuck are you putting on your Instagram? You gotta take that off right now. And you're like, oh, sorry, I wasn't thinking. Or like whoa. What did you no, go like, and it's always a network or a studio going like, hey, fucking no more Instagram, okay? You're off Instagram. Like you're because it's the business side. Like I like right now it's when I should shut my mouth, but it's like the business side. So hypothetically say, let's put it this way. Say I ran a restaurant. Better yet, say I cook at a restaurant, right? And someone else owns that restaurant and I'm the head cook. And I'm in the back of my Instagram going, we got shellfish, everybody, and we got a deal. The guy said to us, they'd be like, well, what are you doing? Just serve the fucking shellfish. We got the shellfish. Just make the fucking shellfish. There's no reason you need to tell them where we got it or how old that shellfish is or that we got to discount it. Just sell the fucking shellfish. So that's where it happens mostly to me.
That's fucking hilarious. I still can't believe the success you've had, man. I fucking love it. Like rereading that article, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what a fucking journey this guy. What comes to your mind when you kind of just reflect on the journey you've gone through?
It's funny. I feel like I always wonder. I wonder if like George Clooney can sit back and go like, I fucking made it, because I don't feel like that ever. I feel like everything's going away. I feel like I'm not working hard enough. I feel like I'm not coming up with new ideas. Like I sit, especially when I'm in production like this, I get really bummed out. I was like that during the movie. I get bummed out because I hear my buddies on podcasts just fucking killing it, like Theo Vaughn, Tim Dillon, Andrew Schultz, Giannis Pappas, Chris DiStefano. All these guys are killing it. Nate Bargatze, and or they're doing big shows like Sebastian and Bill, and all these guys are doing big shows. And then you're in production, and I start getting like antsy, going, "Come on, man, I got to make something. I got to like create something." And then my wife's like, "Yo, hang on, you have a movie coming out. You're shooting a TV show. You have a sold out tour. You just sold out Red Rocks. Like, just chill the fuck out and try to enjoy it." And I go, I think successful people can't, I think truly successful people cannot enjoy success. And they go, I need to work harder.
Dude, it's the gift and the curse of the artist, man. That's what I call it. I feel the same way. If I'm not, I could have the best week on earth and I'm like, how the fuck did I fuck up this week? That's literally what goes through my mind. I didn't do enough. It's always how I feel. It's insatiable. It's fucking awful.
It's insatiable. And it's fun. It's fun when you meet other people with that insatiability where they're just like, where they can't turn it off either. It's fun working with those people where all they do is think about what the thing you're working on. And you're like both, I'm very, very lucky in that at this part of my career, I'm working with people that are fucking amazing. Like my executive Kale over at Legendary, I spent every single day with him and all we did was talk about the script. Peter Atencio is our director. All he did was think about this goddamn movie. You could not talk about this movie enough. And that's all I wanted to talk about. That's all I wanted to talk about. It was like, how do we make it better? How do we do this? How do we do that? My wife's not one of those people. She's like, Jesus, let it go. Let's talk about something else. And I was like, oh no, that's not, you got the wrong guy, And my executive here, Conrad, me and him go up to his room every night, bottle of wine, and we just talk about the show, talk about the acts, talk about the, and how do we make it better? How do we streamline it? What are we looking for? Like, and dude, Segura, all I do is Segura. We talk numbers, we talk bits, we talk future, right now we're trying to figure out a live show we can do when I get back. We think we should do a live show. Like it's business, even with Rogan, it's.
Yeah. I was going to actually ask you about Rogan as a podcaster yourself. What do you think about the Rogan experience, the $100 million deal, how he pisses everybody fucking off every day? What do you think about the Rogan explosion?
I love it. I mean, first of all, I have to say I'm a huge fan of his podcast. I am since day one. And when I say day one, I'm talking snowflakes on the screen. I've been a fan of his podcast. He changed my life immeasurably, just as a friend, and as a man who came to me at a time when I couldn't, I didn't trust people and didn't want to have friends, and I was like done with friends. I had a family, that was my thing. He came to me with a shot of Jack and a Heineken, and was like, "Hey man, I'm trying to be your friend. Like you need to have friends." And me and Tom and Ari and Joey and Duncan, we're all trying to be your friend. So let us be your friend. I mean, dude, that doesn't happen. So you will never hear a bad word out of my mouth about him ever in my entire fucking life. I think he's killing it. I love that he speaks with his fucking mind. I don't agree with Joe all the time, but and by the way, I also know the Joe that giggles and gets high and talks about, what if you threw fish 10 feet in the air and they started flying? How many fish do you think we'd have left on this earth? Like, that's the Joe I know, right? So, and by the way, and he's also a huge resource when you have him as a friend and you can go, hey man, what do you know about hyperbaric chambers? And he was like, great therapy, great oxygen therapy. Just here's what I think you need to do, Bert. Me and Segura are both getting over surgeries, and so he's great. And I think he changed the game in media. I think he changed the landscape of media. He showed us just how kind of full of shit Fox and CNN are, and that they're all fucking driven to. It's all, you know. It's like, I mean, little things he says on his podcast that I just go, it'll change, and I'm like, yeah, wait. So if Don Lemon signs like a $15 million contract, does that mean that he's got to have the most sensational news out there? And then how married is he to delivering? Like, it's just little things where I go, whoa, yeah. Now, obviously, you know, I don't agree with him on everything, but I think he's killing it, man. I think he's killing it, and I wish we had more of him. Tim Dillon's a perfect example. Tim Dillon's killing it, doing his own thing. Does not say I don't agree with probably 80% of what Tim says, but 100% of it makes me laugh my fucking ass off. And I love it. And he's doing it his own way, and he's fucking killing it, man. Anyone doing something different, I appreciate.
Before I let you go, so Damon Wayans was on some radio show like in Dallas or something, and he brought up that right now the whole verses with musicians, he would love to do a versus battle against Chappelle, which, by the way, I love Damon Wayans. No one's whipping Chappelle in verses.
Well, hold on. Let's talk this out.
Whoa.
Because I read that too, and I thought, now what are we talking? Because with musicians, all you have is music, but you don't just play the shit on their CDs. You play when they were on other CDs too, right?
Yep.
So if we're talking all like full scope
in living color,
the Damon Wayans show, and movies and stand up.
I didn't think about that. If you use the verses, you're right. If you're featured anywhere, like Scott Storch is like in every fucking hit of all time, but no one knows that it's Scott Storch. And then he's rolling out like every 50 Cent song. You're right. Like, if you roll out everything Wayans has been in, his resume strengthens significantly.
Yeah, and it just gets convoluted. And obviously, I think Dave's the fucking greatest comic that we have. I want to make sure I say that. And Dave's stand-up, you know, is I think if you're talking stand-up for stand-up, I think, you know, what Dave's put out is pretty monumental. It's hard to go head to head, but I don't know. I think Chappelle Show versus In Living Color. I mean, first of all, let's be real. You wouldn't have Chappelle Show if there wasn't In Living Color. That's the truth.
Boy.
And Damon Wayans was a standout star on In Living Color, like a standout star. And Damon, by the way, and I should be very clear, I am a huge Damon Wayans fan. Like, huge Damon Wayans fan. I think he is one of the better storytellers, one of the best storytellers out there. And so I think it would be interesting. I love that people shut it down immediately, because I put it on my social media and said, who do you think will win? And everyone's like, Chappelle. I go, no. You're not thinking about it. You're going like, you think I just said who's better. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying who will win in a versus. That would be interesting. What the real versus should be is like Judd Apatow versus who's the guy who did Judd Apatow versus the fucking guy who did Hangover. What's his name?
Todd
Phillips.
Todd Phillips.
Judd Apatow versus Todd Phillips. And don't go movie for movie. Just go scene. Like scenes that they were a part of, and pull it apart. And Judd Apatow gets to all his movies, and Todd Phillips gets all his movies. And it's just little things where, you know, Zach's funny in a scene, or you know, like that would be, I would love to see movie producer versus movie producer, or director versus director, you know?
Hey, Bert, can you chat me your legendary contacts information? Because I'm ready to pitch this versus show to him. It's a hell of a fucking idea. I'm like, let's fucking EP this sucker.
Dude, I had an idea one time, and I was like, this is a great idea. And I went in, and I took it somewhere, and I go, I want to do a movie called I want to do a TV show called Scene Stealers, where every comic gets to perform their favorite scene in a movie, where we go to the same location, we rent the location, we get similar actors because the comic casts it, and you do a scene in a movie. And my scene always is going to be from Boogie Nights when he's smoking crack and the Chinese guy's throwing fireworks around. I want to play that guy when in the robe, in the underwear, and comes out, come on, babies. I want to play that scene, right? And they're like, that sounds great, man. How are you going to get the rights to all these movies? And I was like, I didn't think about that. And they're like, what do you think Star Wars is going to let us recreate Star Wars? And I was like, I did a Mickey Mantle, because I talk about having the Mickey Mantle gene. I did this Mickey Mantle gene t-shirt, and I made it, and I ordered a ton, and I wore it on Two Bears, One Cave, and I was like, new merch drop. And Segura is like, cool. Like, how are the Mantles involved with that? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I mean, you can't just make a shirt that says Mickey Mantle on it and sell it and have it Yankees colors and his number on it. And I was like, yeah, you can. And he goes, you definitely can. And I said, sure you can. And he goes, okay, well, I have a new line. It's called Air Jordans. And I went, oh shit, you can't, can you? And he was like, how many of these shirts did you make? And I was like, 150. I don't think things through all the time.
Bro, this was awesome. I'm so happy we got to catch up.
Dude, it's good to see you again. I definitely remember that interview. It's good to see you again. It's been a long time. I think I was promoting Bert the Conqueror or Trip Flip.
That's what it was. It was some I've been doing this for a fucking decade, so I forget all the projects, but it was definitely some Travel Channel show. And I remember laughing my ass off. And I was prepping Rachel, and I was like, Rachel, he's electric in person. Get ready.
It's so funny because that's when I look back at my experience with Travel Channel, they did not like my personality. They were like, hey, can you not just can you just talk about the brand? Talk about adventures in travel. You like to get lost in a city. You like to have a good time. You're a wholesome fun. And I remember doing your show and being like, oh yeah, I get blackout drunk.
The publicist is probably like, this guy's not fucking lasting on this network.
I remember I got offered around that time. I think it was around that time. I got a kind of a soft offer to do Letterman. And I was like, and I told the publicist that day, I told the top publicist, I was like, yeah, I think I'm doing Letterman. And they're like, you're definitely not doing Letterman. And I was like, no, I think I am. And one publicist said, first of all, mark my words, you will not get on Letterman. That will not happen. You're nobody. And then the other one went, and by the way, if you get on Letterman, Travel Channel will kill that in a heartbeat. And I was like, oh. And I got an offer to be on Letterman the day they canceled Bert the Conqueror. And I went, I guess I don't have to tell anyone about this. And so I went and did Letterman. And then I got a call 2 weeks later, and they're like, hey, we'd like to sign you to a deal. Can you do Trip Flip? And then I ended up working for them for another 5 years, maybe 7 years. But it was right after they canceled Bert the Conqueror. And yeah, and I ended up doing Letterman, fucking highlight of my career.
That's awesome. Dude, this was blast. Thank you for taking the time, Bert. Let me do all these final plugs. I want to make sure. Berty Boy Relapse Tour starting in Red Rocks. You got the BertCast as well as Two Bear, One Cave. I'm like reading all that. Like fucking there's a whole bibliography of shit here. And the Machine's on its way out. And you got the Go Big Show on TBS. Fucking awesome, man. Really awesome.
Thank you, brother. It's good seeing you again.
Same here, my man. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks for a great time, man.
Please. I'll hit you up next time. Trust me, I love doing this shit. I'll be like, all right, let's do, my wife's on vacation. We should maybe do an interview.
I just want to FaceTime Snoop with you. That's my new life goal. I just want to fucking hear Snoop be like, Bert Kreischer, you're a bad motherfucker. You're awesome. Thanks so much, Bert.
Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you later.
You, brother.